Hello, welcome to the Mostly Yoga podcast with me, Aaron. That's my name. This is my show. I am the host. Still talking to you, still sitting in my room, talking to myself as always as I record this introduction of this podcast episode. And you would think that I have gotten used to this by now, but I guess it's still a little bit awkward. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I don't have any direct person to talk to. My eyes are just darting around the room trying to pretend like I'm speaking to an audience of 1,000 people, but then there's nobody there. I feel a little bit crazy. It's I'm tired. I've been trying to find an inspiration for how I want what I want to say for the introduction of this episode. So I figured I'd just plug in my mic and just start rambling. And here we are. So today's episode is a good one. We have Angeline Chia. She's my friend and fellow yoga teacher from Yoga Movement. That's where I used to work. That's where she's working now. And what I liked about today's episode and talking with her was that she's a very authentic and insightful person, and she's not afraid of showing her vulnerability and I guess these few traits are what made me want to talk to her and what made me want to eventually want to talk to anybody who can carry these traits with them forward. Because I don't want to talk to someone who's annoying, and I don't want to talk to someone who's inauthentic or who's not willing to be open on this episode, on this podcast. So I'm glad that she was able to share from that space, and I'm able to receive all that wisdom and all that just what she had to hear, what she had to share. And I really enjoyed talking with her. But before we get into that, this episode is brought to you by BC FLOWSTATE. Rediscover the way you move, feel, perform through the use of natural and authentic movements that can help you build strength, regain your mobility, and reconnect yourself with your physical body. For content on mobility, movement, and feats of strength, check out his Instagram at BC_FlowState just to see what he's up to and look out for any upcoming mobility workshops, classes that he has going on. Also, Bronson, if you're hearing this, sorry to hear about the passing of your dog. May he rest in peace in dog heaven. Next up is something green, something spicy, something local. It's DOT CHILLI PEPPERS. It's a Singapore-based chili making person, which is my friend Steph. She makes these homemade cilantro chilies in a jar. And if you like all things spicy and green and good, order yourself a bottle or 2 or 3 on her IG or Facebook page at DOT CHILLI PEPPERS. Red dot being the little dot representing Singapore. All the links will be in the description below, and another link that you can also find there will be the link to my coffee page. What's that, you ask? Well, I will tell you. It is the donation page, I guess, that you can choose to support this channel if you like what you hear. You can go to coffee.com/mostlyyoga to show your support. That's ko-fi.com/mostlyyoga. If you decide to donate, thank you very much. If you don't, it's fine as well. Everything that you hear is free to listen to and will continue to be free to listen to because I enjoy doing this. It's a hobby of mine. I don't get paid. It's just out of goodwill if you want to donate to my breakfast fund. And so yes, thank you for listening. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. What else? I think that's it. Okay, so about the episode that you're about to hear, I went down to her house to record this episode, so she was nice enough to host. And I think when I went down to record it was about the afternoon, so it was probably when all the kids came home from school. So at some points there's a lot of kids just screaming in the background for some reason. And nothing you wouldn't be able to shout out loud. It's just like, kids being kids, so that's fine. I think there was a playground downstairs as well. And then at some point there was this weird tapping. It's sort of, I didn't hear it when we were recording it, but I think it was just the wires bumping into the mic for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it was that, but it's also, if you hear a tapping noise, ignore it. This is just how it is. My budget setup doesn't have all the mic stands to prevent all these things. Oh, what you gonna do, right? So, without further ado, let's just dive right into it. Here is the episode that I did with her. I hope you enjoy it. Here you go. Hello, Angeline.
Hi.
Thanks for this barley tea. I will enjoy it live. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, I like this cup so it's very meow meow.
It's cute, right?
Thanks for inviting me into your home. And I was telling you just now, so on the way here, this is the first time I've taken the LRT. I've never taken it before. The only LRTs are in here, Punggol, and then the West Radio one, right?
Bukit Panjang.
Yeah, which I will never go there. And then, I was taking the LRT here and I was admiring the view of Sengkang, which is where we're at. A lot of open spaces. There's a lot of, like when I was taking the LRT here, on the right side, there was a lot of fields, which is so rare, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Did
that
you
part.
come from the back? Do you know which direction you came from?
I took the West Loop from, so it was the Ching something.
Right, so you went
Yeah.
behind.
From the right to the left.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know, but I look at the sign, it says both can go or something, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Ugh. But then like I was looking at it and then it was very nice because it's a lot of open space, it's a lot of green, and it's very quiet, and it's different from where it is for me back home, where it's always full of buildings, which most of Singapore is like that. And I think I've been observing this a little bit more because I was planning to buy a house next year, coming soon, because I'm getting older. And the Purple Line is one of the places that I wanted to stay in because it's new, it's quiet, it's got open spaces. It's all the things that I wanted.
We've been living here for 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah,
That's a long time, eh?
Yeah, 7 years. And it's always been this quiet.
Wow, I love it, eh?
Even though new buildings keep coming up, the roads are still very quiet.
Yeah, I don't hear.
Yeah, you don't hear
I don't
much
hear
of
traffic.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Planes, okay lah. That happens all the time. How are your neighbors? Normal.
They are mostly around our age.
Yeah.
So like we moved in together because it's a new flat. We moved in together when we got married, and then everyone had kids together.
Yeah.
So my neighbors' kids are also the
They
same
can play
age.
together lah.
Yeah, they are like almost the same age as Daddy.
Okay.
So it's quite cute.
Well, I mean, it's sad to hear that you're planning to move soon or so, but I guess closer to the east where we are, or maybe hopefully that's not where I'll be in a year's time, because I want to be here or somewhere along this line. Okay, let's enough about houses. Let's talk about yoga. So okay, wait, before we even continue, for people who are listening, this is Angeline. She is a yoga teacher at Yoga Movement. And if you remember, we mocked at the same time or so. Remember that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, me, Charlene. We were doing the first mock at YM with Selena, Mayan. It was my first mock, but it was like your second or something.
I did many mocks.
It's like that one. It's like that. But so how did you start out with yoga? How did you first start out as a practitioner before you moved on to teaching? Let's hear that story.
Like, I started in 2012. YouTube videos.
Wow. Who, do you remember?
Tara Styles.
Strala.
She's still doing it, but a little bit of a different direction now, I think, with Strala. But it was just short 10 minutes video, and I did it from my bedroom. Why I started? A little bit of there was some issues going on in family, like with parents.
Okay.
Yeah, the usual. But at that year, it became very difficult for me to process everything. I think I was 24. So during that time, I felt at some point like I couldn't cope anymore. Like, it was so noisy, I had to like close the doors. Not noisy physically, but like just the sight of every other part of the house just felt like very loud. I just
Felt
needed
very
a
like
lot of
you had
quiet
no
time.
space.
yeah, I just felt like I need a lot of quiet time. So, interestingly, I have no idea. No one around me did yoga, but I just YouTube searched yoga.
And then Tara Styles came up.
Yeah, so I think it was yoga for happiness.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just watched it and I tried to kind of memorize the sequence. And then I just did it every day for like, I think a month straight.
Wow, okay.
1 month, every night.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I started.
And so then when did you start to go for a studio class?
I think it was in the same year, but maybe a few months down the road.
How? Okay.
Yeah, so I went, but at that time, the memberships were all like annual memberships, so it was a big commitment. Yeah, but despite the big commitment, I wasn't very consistent with my practice.
Okay.
Yeah, my practice hasn't been consistent all the while. Even up till right now, I would say that my practice is not very consistent.
I mean that's subjective. Like as long as you're it's still part of your life in some way. That's consistent enough, lah.
So of all the things that I'm like I have an interest in, I felt that yoga is like just one of those things that stuck around for so many years. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the first place that you went to, and how was that experience like?
Real yoga.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there, and I think that outlet is still there.
Did you go with your friends or just by yourself?
I think initially I went with my sister, but then she dropped out pretty quickly. I'm not sure if she started with the same reasons as I did, but she didn't really continue with it like I did lah. But then, yeah, so real yoga. I remember the teacher I always go back to is an Indian teacher.
Yeah.
I think he's with Pure now.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually quite liked it. Like, I don't know if all Indian teachers are the same, but they tend to speak in very simple language. So, like, just rotate your ankles, change direction.
Not so 飘飘 one.
Yeah, they don't speak about all the freely, how do you feel kind of stuff. And I like the physical adjustments, like strong adjustments. Yeah. So, even after I moved here, maybe just last year, I found a new yoga place at Serangoon. Yeah, which I went, Yoga Kalari. And
Serangoon Gardens. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's a small studio.
Yeah.
And yeah, the vibe there is very nice. It's very community-ish. And yeah, it's like one of those classes where people can sit down and then just watch another person like practice that pose first, and then we go turn by turn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went there, but again, yeah, I'm not very consistent. Yeah, it's been it's my asana practice is just on and off.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then again, yoga is more than just the asana. So it depends on. There's so many different. There's asana, there's pranayama, there is your chanting, meditation, some kind of devotion if you have it. Yoga comes in different ways. But then you're still a consistent practitioner, huh? Technically.
Yes.
Okay, so that was a long time ago, and then you just kept going at that time, class after class, and then you just really liked it. And then what made you want to take the next step?
So when I took my YTT, it was 3 years after, like 2015.
I'm sure a lot of people who, let's say, are listening to this, they are at that stage where, should I take my TT? You know what I mean? And I remember how it was for me when I first thought of like, should I want to take my TT? Let's bring us back to that time, Angeline. So 3 years after you first started, and then you had this like, what's this teacher training? I feel like doing it, or maybe it was a teacher that you really wanted to follow, or you just had an intention to teach or something. Did you have an intention to teach?
It's complicated.
Ooh. Well, you got time.
Yeah, so in 2015 there were not that many TTs in Singapore, especially not by boutique studios. So I went to Tirisula Yoga. So I graduated from there. It was a Ashtanga based TT also. Yeah, so that's where I went. I think it took quite a bit of courage. $3,000. I think I could afford it then, but then still it's like time commitment, and it's kind of like a step you take when you decide that, okay, I want change. Like, you know, like
I know what you mean.
Like, I was in an office job and I just decided that, okay, I think this is the next step I want to take, like in terms of job. So back of my head, yes, I did think that I want to teach. But when I got there, I got very scared. Because there are so many other practitioners who have strong practice lah.
Yeah.
Like when you enter a TT, Ashtanga base, I think it's very asana driven. Yeah, and you can see people who are very disciplined, and also there are people who just started out lah. So for myself, I would think I belong to the a bit clueless group lah. So I went in with my mind open. It was a weekend program, and for some reason it dragged for a long time. So weekend program, we started in January. I think we only graduated in May.
January, March, April, May. 5 months? Huh? Why?
I think there was Chinese New Year, and then there's some things happen for weekend, over the weekend. So yeah, the schedule got pushed back. So it was like a 5 months thing. Yeah, so 5 months, pretty intense also, even though it's weekend. And we got to know a lot of like friends lah. Friends that maybe in a very intensive program you only know for 2 months, but we know each other for 5 months. So yeah, some of them like Val was also my batchmate.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, correct.
Oh,
yeah, so,
I knew that she was from Turso, but I didn't know she was the same batchmate.
Yeah, so 2015 was like quite a few years ago.
Right.
So that's how I entered my TT.
Wow, 2015. What was I doing when I was 2015? 10 years ago? 5 years, 6 years ago, 6 years,
Yeah.
Okay.
So at some point during TT, I think we were towards the end of the program, that our teacher also asked, so who here wants to teach? I was so scared to answer that question, because I felt like I want to, but then at that same time I felt I was at a inconvenient age. That's how I thought back then, because I was like married for 2 years. So at the back of my head, I just kind of thought if I wanted a child, like this would be the age that I have to do it. So like, how do I decide? Like my full-time office job, stability, maternity
Something has
leave.
to forfeit lah.
Yeah, maternity leave, and like how should I say that I want to teach? So I think the teacher noticed it, like I was struggling. So he asked like, why? What happened? Like, why are you in such a, like, why can't you answer it in a straightforward way? So I think I started to break down.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know why it was so difficult. Like just married, having kids. I felt like I didn't have a choice. Yeah.
You felt trapped, like you felt like there was no way. You wanted to do something, but then you couldn't because of the circumstances of life. And then that just sort of overwhelmed you at that moment.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess at that age, at that time, after being in an office environment for a few long years, like I just wanted change quite badly.
Yeah.
But in the end, we still decided to go ahead and like have a kid lah.
Were you pregnant during that time?
Year? So we ended TT in May. I conceived in December. So Teddy was born the following year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was already a plan to have a kid. So you knew that this was part of the plan.
Yeah.
And then okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did the guy advise you, like when he asked, and then like what did he say?
You mean teacher?
Yeah.
He said, it's okay, there's no rush. You want to teach, it doesn't have to be now. It could be after you have your kid. You can plan. So it made me think as well. It was liberating because I don't really like to be vulnerable in front of people. I find that it's something that I never really put into practice, like being vulnerable and talking about feelings. So he said that and it kind of made sense. Like, it also brought to my attention how, like, sometimes when we want something, we are like a child, we just want it right here, right now.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, then we get very frustrated. Yeah, so I guess that's how I felt then. And when he said that, like, there's some truth to it lah.
Yeah.
Like what's the hurry? What are you stressing yourself
That's
over? Yeah.
Desire is the root of all suffering, and we want it, like, we want what we want, and if we can't have it now, then we suffer because we don't have it.
And we feel like we have the plan, the timeline. Like, when it doesn't follow, you get very, like, why like that? Why do I have to push back? Yeah.
Well, it's the attachment to that outcome also, I guess. And I know what you mean. Let's try. It makes sense to me because I feel like also, it's not a very uncommon thing for most people to feel this way. Like, it's a very familiar feeling of, I should be somewhere else by now at this age, or I want this but I can't have it, or it's very common, you know. I feel that now with my house, like, it's 1 year away. I want change. I want to do this. I want to do that, but I can't. I feel stuck. But then you know, you need to, thinking about it all the time is just more suffering. So you needed to just be content with where you are, and then divine timing, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess it worked out in the end. So then did anything happen in between from that point till you had Teddy, and then when did you start to again take that leap to teach?
So it was another 3 years before I actually started to teach at YM.
What were you doing? Just working as normal? Being a mom?
So after I had a kid, I went back to my office job.
What were you doing?
After maternity leave, I was at the airport doing leasing, commercial leasing. So there are some departments that deal with the front line, the shop leasing, F&B leasing. I was doing more of the back end. So it's more of like offices and lounge leasing. Right. Yeah, so paperwork, operations, and like, just moving with the airport projects and all that.
Stable lah. I mean, it sounds like a stable. I mean, considering
actually,
now, maybe not so stable lah.
It was. Oh yes.
Who knew, huh?
Yeah, it was a job with many prospects actually.
Is it?
Like, I was there for 9 years in total. You know, it was my first job, and I never left.
Okay.
Even though maybe by the end of year 2, I just kind of know that, okay, this is not where I want to be forever. But I also didn't know where I wanted to move on to. So in the end, I just decided that, okay, I shall stay here and see how far I go until I find something I want to do. Yeah, something else to do. So
did you meet your husband at work?
I did.
I feel like it. Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I met him there.
Yeah. Is he still there?
He's not. Yeah. So he also left eventually. He left 1 year after me.
Okay.
So I went back to work. I knew that, okay, I should leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I waited for about half a year to get my bonus. And then, like, tendered my resignation.
Was it expected? It was like or was it unexpected?
I think
people knew already lah.
I'm pretty sure my boss won't hear this, but my ex-boss wouldn't hear this. But I don't think he anticipated it because things were going well. I was promoted like once in 2 years. I think it's still quite steady, a steady promotion, like once in every 2 years. So
why you want to leave such a
like you are
golden
like
chicken,
you have
golden goose,
opportunities. The remuneration is not bad. Like, we have good bonuses because tourism is it has always been well.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
But then I mean, like, I'm sure it would have been a bit of like why you want to leave? I'm sure your boss would have asked you, your parents would have asked you, a lot of your friends would have asked you, but then it's also it's the yogi thing where you need to just seek out your
truth,
right? A bit cliche, but it is true lah. Like, you tell me already, I understand. You tell someone else, maybe like, but then your bonus, all this how, or you know, they will look at it in a different way.
Yeah.
But I understood lah, right? I mean, we are living an alternative lifestyle, and it requires alternative thinking.
Yeah.
And it requires bravery as well to take that leap into the unknown.
So there's always a push factor, like with work there, or maybe with every corporate job, there's always politics. But then I think it hit me quite a bit, like I knew I didn't want to stay there anymore. It's not like someone's backstabbing you,
It's
but
just that culture lah.
yeah, the culture, like how you have to angle every conversation you have with people. Like when you speak to someone, you have to think whether will they take your words for, and also you make friends at work, but when you are promoted, sometimes some of the friends that you think are your friends, they can just move on very quickly.
Okay.
People whom you travel on holidays with, and they just decide one day that, I don't think I can trust you anymore. So they just, like, they don't eat with you anymore. You can tell that there's a separation.
Right.
Yeah, so it kind of hurt quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah, so it's always lingering at the back of your head for me it was a few years lah, cause like from promotion into a manager role, I don't manage them directly, but like they are still in the same team lah. So so like you see people whom you were once close with, and then
to do
like,
this to you lah.
Yeah. It's not even about whether did I really tell on them or not. Maybe it's like just an insult on character. Like you think that I would do it. Like I don't lah. I treat friends I'm quite loyal to my friends lah. I don't like speak bad about them.
I mean, it's unfortunate that they reacted that way over nothing essentially. But then it could be a lot of factors lah. It could be just the way that they learned how to deal with certain things, like
probably,
or maybe they've been bitten before by friends who got promoted or work colleagues who betrayed them, or it's just the culture lah. So it's unfortunate that it has to be that way, and I can see how that can be upsetting to you,
Yeah.
especially when you have no ill intent. So you're gonna like the yuan wang lah, you're just gonna like
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my voice still shakes when I talk about it. Like, I clearly, like, if I meet them again, I don't know, like, how would I react, how would I speak to them. Like, it's very weird, very awkward situation. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you left that place. Right. I'm sure it brought you some good. It brought you, it served you to the point where it didn't serve you anymore. So then this was when you were mocking already while working, is it?
Yeah. No, sorry.
You quit first and you mocked?
I did, I quit.
So when you were mocking, it was just being a
unemployed.
stay-at-home.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, so I left my workplace about when Teddy was almost a year old. And then just one day after I left my job, like Raymond, my husband, he was diagnosed with cancer. The next day.
Oh.
The next day. Yeah. So he had a swollen lymph node. So there was an operation to remove the lymph node for testing. So that happened the next day, and
it had to be immediate.
No, actually it dragged on for a few months. That swollen lymph node, like we had no idea what's going on.
It just so happens you need to check.
Lymph node, it's normal for it to swell, like when your body is like going through inflammation and stuff, but it's not supposed to stay for longer than I think 2 weeks or so. It's supposed to go down lah. So it didn't, and then we saw a GP. GP said, okay, observe. So we observed, After a while, he was still quite concerned because it didn't go down. And then we went back in, and then he's like the GP didn't say much. So I suggested to him, why don't we see a specialist or second opinion? So we seek a second opinion, who was also a GP, but then this GP referred us to an ENT because he said since it has been like a while, like a couple of months already, like you should visit an ENT. So ENT at the office, there was also a period of observation, but eventually he suggested a needle biopsy. So you stick a needle, they draw out some tissues. I think it's pain, There's biopsy. No anesthesia or anything. So they draw out some tissues for testing. Right. It was negative.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So negative, and then waited again. Then another 1 or 2 weeks passed. ENT doctor was like, this is not going down. It's not going away. So I would suggest that you remove it lah. Like we can do a full testing. So it was up to us to decide.
Right.
So Raymond decided that okay lah, let's do it. So when he removed, the cancerous cells were behind the lymph node. That's why the needle biopsy came out negative.
They didn't pick it up.
Yeah, so it was all the way behind.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a period of waiting because you don't know like what it is exactly, but based on what the doctor said, he saw it's an irregular shape. It doesn't look good lah. So we had to wait for the actual diagnosis.
And so he's at home already? Or
Yeah,
still,
we already came back home.
It's like a day surgery kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah. So just a couple of hours and then we came back home. Then, we had to... So the waiting game, it's always the scariest when you don't exactly know what's going on. So, your brain starts to give you all the worst case scenarios. So he started saying things like Teddy's just, barely a year. Like, what if I don't live to see him sing his ABCs? Stuff like that.
It's heavy, man.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what he would have to go through. And he still has to be strong for you and him also.
Yeah, I think it was... They worked quite fast. It was a private... It was a private doctor clinic lah. So they do things pretty quickly. So within, I think, a week, a very long week, we finally got the diagnosis. We went to the doctor's office a lot of times. We did a lot of scans. So eventually, it was diagnosed stage 3 nose cancer.
Okay.
Yeah, so we saw the scans and then arranged for his treatments lah. So everything happened pretty quickly. So he had to do chemo as well as radio.
Oh.
So he went through, I think, 3 months of chemo. Every 3 weeks, 1 cycle.
Okay.
And then when that was done, then we continue on with radio. I think it was every day, Monday to Friday, radiotherapy.
What is that? You stand under a machine and just...
No, they push you into it's like you use radiation to kind of target at the cells and
just
kind of kill them off lah. Yeah, kill off the cells. So the chemo was to shrink the size of the affected area, so that the radiation doesn't have to go over a huge space and burn all your cells.
Chemo is
a drug in IV.
IV, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So chemo to shrink and then radio to target. Apparently back then when technology wasn't so good, radiation covered a huge area and it's quite damaging to your cells because they don't just burn off the bad cells, they burn the good cells as well. So so for him, he went through all of that in 5 months. 5 months of intensive treatment.
5 months seems long, but it's also quite lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you had to go through with it for years.
Yeah, I guess we were very relieved to hear that it was a treatment for cure.
Right.
Not to just maintain. So
interesting.
We were very hopeful for a cure. So that's what the plan was.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's 4 years now, almost 4 years after. Yeah.
Whew. How did that experience... what did it teach you? What was the takeaway?
I guess first thing was, of course, he is very strong. My husband is very strong to go through all of that. He was very optimistic. And it kind of helped with his treatment because his symptoms, the side effects, were not as bad as what most people would go through for nose cancer treatment.
Oh, is he?
He's
young,
34 when he was diagnosed. Yeah, so he was quite optimistic. He is a joking kind of person lah. So he was very optimistic, and even though he went through chemo, usually after 1 week from that chemo cycle, he's kind of back to his usual self. He can get out of bed and he can walk around, go downstairs. So then we started to treasure the the day-to-day, like just going to the supermarket, that kind of errands, it became very big. Yeah, so they are very normal things that normal people do, but like when he's like just past his treatment, he couldn't do those things. Like he just had to rest, because there's always the nausea that sets in. And by right, when he goes through his treatment, he's supposed to have a lot of like ounces. Most people would, like on average, lose maybe 15 kg. I don't know if you met him
15
before.
is a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if you met him before. It's not exactly... He's quite lean lah.
Yeah.
So if he were to lose 15 kg, it would be like backs and bones. Yeah, so... But at the end of his full treatment, he actually gained weight.
Oh, how? Just
Partly it was
eating,
water retention, and partly because he tried to, his willpower, he didn't want to like be put on foot tube and all that, because those are the things that the doctor cautioned us about.
Wow.
Like if you
appetite.
feel sick and you cannot ingest anything, then we still need to upkeep your nutrition.
Right.
You'll have to go on foot tube, that kind of thing lah. So we tried to keep those things in check. Yeah, I guess he tried to get up for Teddy also lah. Yeah, that was him. I think he was more optimistic than I am. I didn't take everything very well. If I'm truthful, at some point I felt a bit resentful. Like this is my point of view as a caretaker. Because like having a 1-year-old,
now you gotta take care of.
Correct.
Right.
Cause at the beginning we always thought like this is a partnership kind of thing. Like parenting is a partnership thing. Like you have your role to play, I have my role to play. But then when everything happened, I felt like I'm all alone.
Right.
That's how I felt. So I kind of feel like I was left to do everything lah. So I guess some part of me felt very resentful towards the situation. Maybe not necessarily him, but the situation. Yeah, so years down the road, even when people ask me, like, do you still want a second kid? Like, this will always be at the back of my head, like some post-trauma kind of reaction. I will feel like what if I'm left alone? Like, Teddy is maybe almost 5 now, still okay. But if I go and have another one, what if I had to go through it again? This time around with 2 kids. Do I want to do it, like, knowingly? Yeah, so I always say no.
I mean, I feel like that's a wise choice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack at this one.
Heavy, huh?
Heavy but relatable and very honest, I feel. Because this is as much as it is a happy ending, sort of. No, not happy ending. It's more of like it there's no happy ending. It's just life. This is just another life story. And we do take things for granted. Like, you know, I feel like I've been taking a lot of things for granted, so I didn't have to. I mean, I guess this fucking ACL thing has taught me a bit or so. When you were saying about how having to stay at home and to care for yourself, I think the first week I was frustrated, so like I couldn't move, or I was just a burden, lor. I was a burden, but I didn't want to be a burden. So I like purposely go and do stuff. And then because it took so long to do stuff, because I didn't want to ask for help, then I got like annoyed at myself. Like, hey, why can you move faster? Like, you want to go, like, I wanted to get water. I have to shimmy to the bed, to the corner of the bed, push myself up, reach for my crutches, and bring my cup. And I'm at the first week I got 2, so I need to put my cup in a bag that I hang onto my crutch. Then I hobble to the kitchen, take my cup, pour the water, and then I can't, because it's a full water now, so I had to change. I had to like hold it with one hand, and I gotta hobble back. I gotta go back, take my other crutch, come back, You know, and because when I do that, I'm not going for just one trip where I gotta go, okay, maybe I'll go pee, maybe I'll go get some
Right.
snacks or whatever. Then when I come back, I gotta turn my fan on, I gotta open the window, I just gotta do stuff, and then but I gotta put my cup down first. I gotta go to the table, put my cup down, I go back to the corner, take the remote, turn on the thing, and then go. Oh, it's just small things like that just took forever. And then I was like annoyed that I had to do it by myself. Why is no one helping me? I need help, but also I don't want anybody to help me because I don't want to be a burden.
It's complex.
It's a lot to deal with lah, right? But then it's also when you're fine, when you can jump and hop around, you don't have to think about these things. But so, if anything, I mean, this is my karma. I have to deal with it. But it's taught me some lessons. Yeah, so I can't imagine what your husband would have gone through and what you would have gone through, having been the caretaker and having been, you know, you have a kid, it's like 1 year old at the time. But then, in hindsight, I'm sure that it's made you stronger.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. One thing that frustrated me the most when we were going through all the treatments were people who message you not knowing what to say. Like, it's with good intentions, but then they say stuff like, stay strong, be strong.
It's annoying, huh?
For me, I just feel like I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, stop telling me that I don't want to be strong. Why must I be strong?
Right.
Like, yeah, it was
Interesting.
irritating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like for sure they all they're all wishing you well. They hope everything gets well.
Yeah.
But then, how are you supposed to deal with that? You want to get angry. You want to vent. You want to. Ooh, someone's having a good time. You want to just release it somehow, but you can't. You gotta power through it.
Yeah.
There's no time for
And
you
just
to
get through the day and then
Yeah.
repeat the other day. Like yeah.
Well, we dive. So back to this. So then, when did you start mocking? So okay, so you quit your job.
Yeah.
Next day, diagnosed with the stage 3,
Correct.
and then all that fiasco. After that, 5 months later, after chemo, he's all good,
Yeah.
100% all gone, and then you started to mock.
Yeah.
it?
So I didn't start mocking immediately. I think I gave myself another 2 or 3 months, I think, before I started to send out like
Wait,
resumes.
before that, were you practicing at YM or never?
No, I wasn't. So at that point, I didn't have a regular studio that I go to. So when I left my job, that was like the plan, like get back into things, get acquainted with like studios and spaces and people around studios. And before I started to apply for jobs, like teaching jobs, but then those plans they had to shift. So I think I pushed back. Then I started mocking maybe 3 or 4 months later. I think I wrote to a few places lah, not just YM. And like some places were they were nice. They just they tell it to your face, like you don't need to wait. Like I don't think you're suitable.
This is before even interviewing or like over email?
No, through mocks.
Oh, so after the mock lah.
Yeah, through mocks.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point there was a place that offered like a apprenticeship kind of thing.
I mean, okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then it's also like dodge. Like this kind of thing is quite dodge, yeah.
Correct. So there were some alarm bells lah.
Yeah.
So there was a few round of rejections, and then there was also the mocks at YM. And I think I'm just very thankful to Selena, because at that point how she did it was we repeated our mocks. She would give us feedback,
Right.
and then we just take the feedback and try to
Try
work
again,
on it.
yeah.
So Val told me, like, as a form of encouragement, she told me, like, if they are asking you to come back for the mocks,
really,
it's a good.
They see potential lah, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So she asked me to stay hopeful lah.
Yeah.
But then I was getting very discouraged, cause when you're looking for jobs, you tend to look at their website and their teachers, and then everyone had like stories about how they have been practicing for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. So you read stuff like that and you reflect on your own practicing journey. And then I will think like, I could have a very consistent practice if I was disciplined enough, if I was like committed enough. So I guess that's when you try to find fault with yourself for not landing a job.
I think that applies in any aspect of life lah. I wish I didn't. I study more when I was in school, then I can get a better job. Or I wish I did more push-ups or something like that. I'll be more stronger.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, like many other people, I just felt like maybe I'm not qualified to be a teacher because I don't have a consistent practice and I'm not that strong. There are definitely people who are stronger, more flexible, or maybe they're more eloquent. And yeah.
I guess that was just also your limited understanding of what it meant to be a yoga teacher. Because then
point in time.
At that point, like, I needed to be able to do the handstand or the whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of midway while I was mocking, it took me. So I said April. April was when I started mocking with Selena, I think. And I started teaching at YM in September. So can you imagine how many rounds of mock I did?
Wow.
I think it was close to 6 to 8, I cannot remember the actual number.
That's actually normal at YM. I mean, 3 is lucky, right?
Really?
3 mocks. And 3 mocks is like, you've taught before already. Then you mock, okay, first class type, okay, good. Second class type, okay, good. Third class type, just to check, okay, can, then go. Otherwise it's like average 5, I think. I know some teachers who taught mocked 10 times.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's normal. It's normal. Somehow if you're new, and then this is your first experience in a studio setting.
Yeah.
And it's good that YM is like the way that they hire the mocking phase, right? The audition is like anybody can just try. You mock, and then if it's a no, then it's a no, but they will still give you feedback, and then it's just try a few rounds. So because it's also, if you think about it, a bit like you mock one time then pass already. That's a bit like cannot be what. You need to really
That's true.
Yeah, you need to at least 2-3 times, right? So let's just run its course, and then you just, the more you go, the more confident you be, or the more you start to reflect on what you need to improve lor. And Vera, Selena, Amy, Megan, they all give you good feedback when I was there, when you were there, And I guess that's where my timeline and my timeline
Kind
meet,
of
where
met
I
in
met
the middle.
you on my first mock, your second mock, I think.
Probably.
And then that was when what was I doing? I also just graduated, just finished my thing. And then and I've been practicing at YM for a long time, so I knew everybody there. And then I think Janice was there, so Janice was practicing. And then I mocked, and then I forgot. I ended early. Like my mock was supposed to be 20 minutes, right? Then I 15 minutes, that bell haven't ring yet. So then I finished my sequence, then I don't know what to do. So I did Sun B, but I did Sun B on both sides, Warrior 1 on one side.
Okay.
I didn't do on left side. I don't know if you remember.
No, I don't.
Yeah, then I did it, then okay, this is weird. I mean, not weird, you paiseh lah, right? Then afterwards, just see how other people mock, blah blah. Then they give you feedback. Okay, take it. Then I left, but then I went to the other place. I went to somewhere else. So I didn't come back. What?
Yes.
But then you kept going. It was like once every 2 weeks you go back, or what?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was what did you get more confident with each towards the end?
I was actually getting quite disheartened.
Okay.
I guess it was a pretty
Just
low.
how many
I just
times
came
already
out of
lah,
a
yeah.
low point in my life,
Right.
and I just kept thinking oh my, after everything that happened, my plans were pushed back, and I just felt like I was at a disadvantage because I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do that. That's why I'm not I'm not up to my own standard also. So in the middle, maybe we'll get to this more later. At somewhere along the way in the middle of my mocks, I did something called intuition reading, a channeling,
Wait, this was
channeling
during
session.
this was in between your mock, not the recent one.
No,
Because that's definitely something I want to talk about.
Yeah,
But okay,
so
we put up. Okay,
it's
let's
the
just
same
elaborate.
person. It's with the same
So you-
person. Yeah.
So you went to that person to get a reading, and then fast forward, then you went to take your own.
Correct.
Okay. So I understand that, but for the sake of like the people listening, let's go into detail a little bit more. Okay, so halfway in between your mock, you went to see this person, and she is a intuition reader.
I think she calls herself a holistic practitioner, a holistic healer, like in all forms. So maybe we'll just call her by a name, Desiree. So
okay.
she does channeling, she does regression therapy, even things like hypnotherapy, past life, inner child bonding, that kind of stuff.
And you
sound
were
healing.
aware of you understood these things back then, or was this some like how did you
It
find out
was
about
something
her?
I was very curious about because I did a singing bowl workshop that was held at her place because she has a big living
Like a
room,
home studio thing.
something like that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's an idea. I want to make a home studio.
yeah. So she has that space, and that singing bowl workshop was held at her place. It wasn't conducted by her,
Okay.
but so that's where I came to know the name of her website, Float Your Boat Therapy. So I have no idea why I just keep going back to her website to like read up on the stuff that she offers, the services that she offers. And I've always been very curious about it. So it also took some courage like to try out this kind of stuff in open, close, inverted commas. It's not things that you would
Normally
reach out to
do
do
lah,
daily. Yeah. So she calls it channeling back then. So like channeling what?
Ooh.
Right? Like what? But then in her website there were some guidelines on like the type of questions you can ask. So I just reached out to her. Without anything specific, I just wrote to her asking, do you have anyone that writes to you or approach you without any clear question in mind? So she gave me some guiding question, like why are you approaching me? Like what issue do you think you're facing in life? That kind of guiding question lah. So that brought us to arrange and schedule a session. We did it over Skype actually. So at that point she was overseas, so it was a Skype, like a video conference kind of session. It lasted 1.5 close to 2 hours, and I think the main theme that I was asking about was self-acceptance. Like I realized that I was always walking in the shoes of like other people, like other people's what I think is what success looks like. Like maybe from a young age I was following my sister, like she enrolled into a certain course, I would also follow the certain path, and then I always felt
It's never
like an
finding your own-
invisible
yeah.
like an invisible pressure to go through the same like mold as other people, go through the same phase. And partly also because like you don't want other people to look at you and like, why are you walking down this path? I didn't really like to explain myself growing up. I didn't like to explain my choices. So I guess everything added together kind of brought me to that point where I feel like what's stopping me? Like why I cannot be confident in the path I want to walk? Because of those breaks in my yoga practice, or maybe even with the failed mocks, I felt like dejected. Like I felt like I wanted to give up. Like maybe I shouldn't walk this path, you know, like maybe I should just stick to what I know. Yeah, so that session was very impactful. I felt like maybe a lot of things that I didn't know I was carrying, like a lot of the burden, I didn't even know that they were so heavy. Until the end of that session, she actually pointed out to me, like, do you even notice that your voice is different? Start of session and now it's different. It's a lot more lighthearted, and actually I did feel that way as well. I felt like someone like look at your soul and like just recognize it. So that was how that session was for me. Like maybe you think you know yourself, but it's a different story when someone can see you for who you truly are, and it's very empowering. So the session felt very empowering. And yeah, Like, if I were to talk about the details of the whole session, it would take forever. But it kind of reminded me of, like, who I really am. Like, beside, like, apart from all the conditioning that I went through, maybe growing up, or based on the people I know, the experiences that I've been through. Yeah, so it kind of, like, I felt like I was given a soul hug. That kind of feeling. So I felt, from then on, I felt like I was able to stand my ground a lot more, and I guess it kind of all changed. My journey kind of changed from then on. Like, I had a brighter outlook. Yeah, a brighter perspective. So if that was the lowest point, after that session, I did feel like, everything has been going very smoothly since then. Smoothly, not that I didn't face obstacles, but smoothly in that I started to realize that actually everything is happening. Yeah, it's like everything is meant to be, and
it's interesting.
And the things you went through are there for a reason, lah.
This is an interesting theme. If I were to explore it a little bit more about how, like, certain things that happen that is misfortune, that we think that it's like, oh, why did this happen to me? It turns out to be I wouldn't say the best thing that could have happened, but it was like it's always a lesson. I feel like everything that happens to you is always there to teach you something. And it's stuff like it's not like karma where you do bad things, then something bad happens to you, okay lor, like you steal things, you go to jail, then you don't be like, oh, why am I in jail? Because you this is a consequence, what?
Yeah.
But it's like, if you live a law-abiding, good, you're nice to people, and then still something happens to you, then you'll be a bit like, why? Like, what did I do? Or you start to blame, is it something I did? Is it why is the world picking on me, or whatever? And I, like, say for my jiu-jitsu journey, I've been trying to just keep a consistent practice. I quit YM to dedicate that time to go overseas and train, and then COVID happened. When COVID happened, I came back, and then every gym was closed. When the gyms finally opened, I went to go trial at one, and then I fucking tore my ACL. So then, like, all these challenges are just, am I meant to continue this path? Am I supposed to do this? But then deep down as well, I do feel this longing to continue this thing. You know, it doesn't have a purpose. It's not going to get me rich. I'm not going to be famous from it. If anything, I might get more hurt in the future, but then I still feel like I need to do it. But then there was a point where I questioned, like, hey, how many times, it doesn't, and especially with an injury, like, have you not learned the lesson? Is the injury not enough for you to stop? Yeah, and in hindsight, when I look back on all these things, and I'm sure in hindsight when you look back on your things as well, nothing could have stopped it from happening. Like, your husband having that cancer, he wasn't smoking every day or drinking every night. It just suddenly happened.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to prove anything. It just, wrong place, wrong time, pop. So then, because it was not something that you purposely did, then this felt like it was meant for you. Like, whatever you did, you go one big round, it will still come back for you, because this was meant for you already. So if it was meant for you, then what was the reason for it? So then I was thinking, okay, what is this for? What is this trying to teach me? Is this? So then maybe I thought of, like, say for this was to heal physically, emotionally, and I feel my the healing happening. And then for you, maybe it was just to find strength, or to give you courage to then take the next step to do whatever that was gonna happen next.
Yeah.
So it's always, in hindsight, it's always 2020. When we look back on it, it's always like, now I know why this happened. But then at the time when it is happening, you think like it's the lowest point, no?
Yeah.
Interesting. So, back onto how did you feel when you first got it? when they say like, okay, I think Ken, you're hired. When can you start? You know.
Really? That was I think the first thing I told Selena over the phone. Really? Yeah. So what was the first thing? Yeah, so we just started teaching like 1 week later,
Yeah.
I think.
It's quite fast.
Yeah, it was quite fast.
They start you slow? 6, 5?
I think it was just 2 for the first week, and then 4. I started as a part-timer, but they know of my intention to convert to a full-timer eventually. But yeah, so we added the classes
Slowly,
quite slowly. I guess teaching is one of those things that you cannot improve until you start.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Strange. It's a strange vocation, strange job.
yeah.
Like there's no studying beforehand. I mean, you can, but then it's also like, how do you prepare for the things that are gonna happen? You know.
Yeah. I mean, up till today, sometimes I still like get stomach ache before class because I get anxious about the idea of teaching. But when you are like just in front of the class, then you just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the leading up that's always very anxious.
Yeah, I feel very anxious all the time. I'm always trying to ground, trying to read my book, trying to remember everything. But then when I go in, and even though I'm nervous, and even though like there's 40 eyes looking at you, you sort of just have to go.
Yeah.
You have to go with you.
Yeah. I guess I'm kind of thankful that I've never had a class where I like totally forgot or didn't know what I was doing. Like even though I forget, I kind of still can pick up the pace and continue where we left off. And
maybe that kind of thing happens when you're still new, but then I'm sure now can pull something out one.
yeah, either that or I take it a little bit more lightheartedly. Like if I really do forget something, then I just call it out. I will just say, I think we forgot something on the other side. Like chances are maybe someone remembers. Sometimes I even ask, anyone remembers what we did on the first side? Yeah, so sometimes along the way I remember my sequence, but if not, then I'll just try to pick up where we left off. Like whatever I remember of the first side, then I just try to continue. But it doesn't affect me
you as much.
End of class I won't feel like, oh, that was a shitty class. Yeah.
Sometimes I will feel that way still, but then I also don't let it get to me, because I understand that it's just some classes are good, some classes are bad, and sometimes the quote-unquote bad classes that you teach are just bad to you. Like to the practitioner, it's fine though. There was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Something that Lee told me, or she shared with me before, is about how when you teach a class as a yoga teacher, it is that 1 hour is like your entire day. But then for the practitioner, that one class is just 1 hour of her day, or his day. So then when you teach a bad class, you think about it. Oh man, you carry that with you the whole week maybe. But then for the practitioner, the guy forgot his left side.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he goes back to work. Like it doesn't even bother him anymore. But you see the difference in how as yoga teachers, the weight of it that we burden ourselves with sometimes. And once you're aware of that and you realize how silly it is sometimes, you just learn to not take yourself so seriously and learn to laugh about it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. What? Let's go back to the intuitive reading thing. A year ago, you decided to take maybe 2 years ago, I think. Maybe a year and a half ago. You decided to take the course, right?
Yes.
What led you to do it?
So immediately after that first reading, I was just telling Desiree, like, I wish I can ask a question every day.
Ask your own self, right?
Yeah, so she told me, you should learn to do it for yourself. Yeah, so I considered it, and at that point, her program wasn't as extensive as it is now. She had a program, but it was just like a 2 days kind of thing, like do channeling for yourself, that kind of thing. back then it was called Akashic Records.
Ah,
like tuning into your reading.
But was it really
assessing.
Akashic Records? Was different, right? It seems different.
Well, I don't know if it's like a terminology kind of thing, but then now she just doesn't want people to feel like you're channeling or tapping into a external source,
Right.
a entity that is apart
'Cause
from
that's a
you, separate from you.
Dangerous thing, like, if you're superstitious.
Cause to her, it doesn't feel that way, and when we learn in this course, that's why it's renamed as intuition as well,
Yeah.
because what you're tapping into is probably just your higher self.
It's not like the future.
Yeah.
It's not like the devil telling you
Yeah.
what's happening. It's just like you feel.
And I've had a lot of people ask me, how do you do it? Like, what, who, what, how? Yeah, so a lot of those questions that came up. So, yeah, so...
Yeah, so how do you do it? Who?
So it was something that's very interesting, what? So, like, if I had the spare cash, I would definitely, like, want to do it. So, eventually I did, lah. Like, sign up for her
So
program.
how does it work? Like, what's the curriculum like? I mean, I'm genuinely interested there.
We kind of...
I think you should be interested to
She
do a
moved
part.
it fully online. But we do it like a what do you call it, like Zoom, Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, so she moved it online, and it was a smart move actually, because last year COVID happened, and like everything would have been affected if it's not an online platform, right? And it didn't really diminish any of the
Quality
effectiveness, or quality of the course, the program.
How long is it? Like a week? Or?
I think it was it 3 months or half a year? I've totally
Half a
lost
year?
track. But we only like have class every maybe 1 weekend per month, because in between we had practice. Yeah, we had homework to do.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. So
How many people signed up? Your batchmate?
I think there were 5 or 6 of us. Very small numbers.
Okay.
So from the first session onwards, like maybe just one of us didn't manage to really do it, but by the end of that first session, like all of us were able to like tune into channel something, like some imagery or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the same subjective. Like, how would you know whether you are tapping? Like, how can you feel whether you're tapping into something genuine, or just I close my eyes, I think of a car, and then the car is just driving down the road. Like, well, how do you know it's just gibberish versus something?
So that's where the practice part comes in, because the more you practice, and especially
Clearer
if
it
you do
becomes.
it with other people, you get feedback. And it's more of a confidence in your own, what's the word? Confidence in your own intuition. Like what you are.
Have you always been an intuitive person in general? Like, do you trust
Maybe
your
it's not
instincts?
something. Yes, I think so. Although I don't know where to attribute it to in the past. Yeah, like
It's just intuition, or the power of intuition.
probably yes.
It's an actual sense. Like, scientifically, people can sense
Like
danger. They can
clairvoyance and stuff,
they can sense like, hey, this person a bit dodgy, or like maybe I should have just done this instead of that. Yeah.
I guess I wasn't in a place of trust last time. Like I don't even trust myself.
Right.
What you want to talk about trusting like,
Others.
Yeah. So yeah lor. So I guess all of that happened after everything else. It's an appropriate timeline lah. Like after
Divine timing.
Yeah. So if all this happened earlier, I would have just maybe passed it off.
Right.
But because it happened at the timing that it did, so I was in a better place and I was ready to
receive.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that makes all the difference. And
It does.
yeah, so the first homework that we ever got for this course is to do 10 readings for yourself every day. So we had to journal down whatever we channeled, whatever images that you see. Even if you see Mickey Mouse, you have to write it down. Yeah, so Yeah, so that's what we did, and slowly from there you gain fluency in translating what you see into words.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she I guess she kind of created her program in a structured way so that you go through
some progression.
because you need to be fluent first before you even say whether you trust it or you don't trust it.
Right.
Because you can close your eyes, you might see something, but then something might be blocking you from saying it out loud, you know? Like if I do a reading for you, I see Mickey Mouse. What if I started to doubt my intuition? And then okay, maybe this is wrong image. Maybe I shouldn't tell Aaron that I saw Mickey Mouse in case he feels like what the hell, why are you talking about Mickey Mouse in my reading? So there's a lot, this kind of thoughts comes up because of your own issues, right? Because you are afraid that other people don't trust you. Maybe other people find you not trustworthy. These are the true issues that are stopping you from bringing forward your whatever you are what your intuition is for. So these, you see all your blockers. So part of this course is also about working on yourself. It's a self-development course rather than a intuition course. Yeah. So, yeah.
Because, as intrinsic as all this sounds, the methods to obtain a skill like that requires the same thing, like trust in yourself or confidence or being able to be aware. And all these subtle skills translate to bigger skills in your actual everyday life. You need confidence when you go to work. You need intuition and like being able to make decisions and all these things which are soft skills, but then they can still be applied in the corporate world, let's say. You know? So even though this is something very woo, it's still practical, I feel, and it is a form of self-development.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, there's nothing like to be able to have the skill and to just sense, let's say you do your own reading, like I'm in a predicament now in my life. I just close my eyes and just do a reading for myself. I feel better now because I'm able to trust my intuition and tap into that and to see whether I'm on the right track or whether my reading can help me make a decision moving forward. So then that's empowering and it's something that I'm interested in, because when I heard that you could do this from Ray, I think, the first time when she told me about it a long time ago. Then I reached out to you like, hey, do me, you know. I think you did like Mayan or whoever as well. And then we were at SUP upstairs, and then you did one for me, and it was very interesting. It wasn't creepy. It wasn't like strange. And it was very nice. It was just
conversation.
It was a conversation where you just, like, we were sitting down, I had my eyes closed, I wanted to just meditate for a bit, and then you just, whatever you took from the air, and then you interpreted what you saw or what you envisioned. And the vision wasn't it wasn't like no Ling one. It wasn't just like, oh, I see a cat and then or what does a cat mean? You know, it doesn't, like, it's not open-ended. It's more of like you painted the picture, like you draw one line, then draw the other line, and then slowly the picture is formed. And then when I look at that picture, it's up to me to interpret it, and then you can always find something to interpret, you know?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it that time. It was a story about a camel and then the 3 wise men or something like that.
Right.
And this was during the time when I was thinking of whether I wanted to stay or go overseas.
Yeah. Did you record the session previous?
No. Oh. I didn't. But did I? I don't know. I don't think so. But there was one that you did over the phone. That one was recorded.
Did I do another one?
Yeah, I think you did 2 for me.
Oh, okay.
Well, first one was the camel one at the studio. Second one was something else, an audio one, which I can't remember what it was anymore.
I see.
But I'm sure there's the audio file lah.
I see.
And then the tarot card reading thing that you did recently as well. All these something that you sort of like, you know, once you learn about intuitive reading, then you start to learn about tarot card reading and so on.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the lines are kind of blurred. Like, these are all like energy. They are all about energy. And I also did a Reiki course before.
What is Reiki? It's healing, physically healing, is it?
Reiki is talking about channeling energy
To make something...
well, you can think of it like an inert energy. So there's no positive or negative energy. It is simply just energy.
Okay.
Like it could be towards plants, pets, people, a situation or outcome. So that happened before intuition reading lah. So after I studied this intuition course, I kind of realized that they're all the same things, you know, like it's just where you place your attention on. So that's kind of how I would summarize Reiki now. I mean, not to offend anyone who takes Reiki very seriously, but I do feel like your energy goes to where you place your attention, right? So sometimes I also say in a yoga class, if you close your eyes and you place your attention on like maybe your upper back, you can feel yourself breathing a bit better into your upper back. So it's that kind of channeling the energy.
Right.
So that's what Reiki means for me at this point in my life. Like if I say I'm sending Reiki to my plants or like into the water that I water my plants with, it's simply just mean that I want my plant to be well. Like this water, I hope it nourishes the plant, and then yeah, hopefully the plant grows up into something pretty. So basically just sending good vibes.
Good intentions.
Yeah, but during Reiki course the teacher did caution us about sending our own thoughts or intention into whatever we are channeling Reiki towards, because we don't want to drain ourselves. We should always think that Reiki is inert, like something you're just passing through you. Like you're just a conduit that is receiving and then passing it through. So it should not drain you.
Where do you receive it from? The
Like
world?
like a universal energy kind of thing. Because it's
Your
just
prana.
so it's like maybe something like just you are funneling into yourself and then passing it through.
Okay.
So
Do you believe in it? Do you know when you water your plants and you pour the water and you say like, I wish you well, I hope you grow up nice and strong, and then
So nowadays, even if I do it, I wouldn't like just label it as Reiki. I just feel like it's a energy thing.
Yeah.
Like I won't feel like
I wouldn't
it's
say it's
like,
Reiki as well.
yeah,
It's just
I
good
won't.
intentions.
You don't need to go through a Reiki course to do it. That's what I feel now.
I believe in this. I believe in this setting your intentions, and because like people, it's hard to measure these things. It's like, okay, I put in 10 good intentions, so then it will grow more. But because you can't measure it in that way, you can't see the results of it. But I think there is some kind of healing energy where, let's say you send good intentions to someone. I hope you work out. I hope this finds a way for you to, I hope you do well. Right? And I send that love to you, and I find peace through that giving. And then that person, if it does reach him, he feels that love, and then there is healing for him as well. And then all this, of course, you can't measure it. You can't measure love. I give you more love, so you must give me this amount of love. So it's immeasurable.
But just holding someone in your thoughts, or even you knowing that you are in somebody else's thoughts, you are kind of already like sharing that.
The bond, right? The unspoken bond. And there are times when, like, you know, you think of your husband, and then after he will text you, that kind of thing. You know, it's something in the air.
Yeah. So that's kind of one of the analogy that was given when we were going through the intuition course as well. Like how, like why do I know what's happening in Aaron's life, so that I can, like how did my message become so relevant for him, for example. So they kind of, it's that energy I came up with. Like if you think of your blood, I think I mentioned it a few times. If you think of your blood, you think of it as a collective, like my blood. You don't think of it as the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the platelets and stuff. You just collectively call it your blood. So it's the same as us humans. We are maybe just collectively a lot of cells, a lot of molecules, and this world is also molecules and cells, and maybe we are all just the same thing. That's why we are like kind of in this web, and we are kind of connected. And whatever you're thinking of, you're putting energy out into this web. And me, on the other hand, is also connected. So if I set an intention to receive a message for you, I'm kind of tapping into that network, that same network. And what we receive through our intuition is basically whatever is meant for you. Yeah. But I mean, there were times that I doubt myself also during the reading, especially like those that I did for you. And even right now, like I feel like I'm still a student, like I'm still learning. I don't know if anyone is ever perfect at some skills, but there will definitely be times where I feel like this is bullshit. Don't know what I'm talking about. Especially that's why it's so important to stay grounded. If my energy don't feel right for that day, then I probably shouldn't be like receiving any messages for anyone lah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's about that balance also, I guess. Because I guess like I trust you. Like if you were to read something for me, I trust that was what you saw in that vision at that time. Versus someone who's like really into it, is like, you know, dreadlocks, mala beats, and like topless, wearing no shoes, and then they come and they tell me something. I might be a bit suspicious of like, is this an identity? Like what? Like, you know, is this real? Because are you just buying into that whole idea of it? You know, so. Yeah, it's interesting to see this to hear about this kind of thing in today's world.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to learn more about it. I might explore this a little bit more. Do you think Desiree is someone who's open to talk on the potty?
Ooh,
someone
interesting.
I mean, I don't know her.
Maybe.
I don't know her at all, but
I can ask her.
Yeah, when this is out, then she hears it. Then at least she knows who am I and how this thing works. Set it up.
I'll tell her, Desiree, I mentioned you on a podcast.
Hey. Shout out to Desiree.
Yes. So you were asking about tarot cards.
Yes.
Like is it something that you will eventually venture into?
Ooh.
She did bring out tarot cards before, and how we learn is that it's kind of like an extension. It's like a tool, an additional tool. And what we learn in intuition is basically what tarot card readers do with their tarot card. Just that they have this external tool that they can see and other people can see. You know, so it's like you can do it without the cards.
Okay. It's just a more like there's a visual of a man or something on that card that can give you that it's more relatable maybe.
Yeah. But it has that external factor lah, tarot card. So it's a bit like why is the card giving me a relevant message? Also, to some people, that's why there are people who feel that tarot card is also a bit woo-woo lah. Right? It's like what power does this deck of card have? Right? So yeah, it's
okay.
Maybe they're all energy lah. What made you choose that card? That kind of thing.
So strange.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. And then when we look back on like our lives and how certain things, like if we believe in the concept of this energy, then there is a constant flow. There's a constant exchange of energy, and there's that energy that's leading you to a place that's meant for you. Is it destiny? Is it fate? Maybe it's destiny. Like I don't know whether I mentioned this before in the podcast, but I defined destiny as something that is meant for you. Like if you're destined to be a yoga teacher, whatever happens, you no matter how much you turn away from it, it's your destiny.
I believe in that.
Yeah, but then for fate, it's like, wait, what's the difference? Fate, destiny. Oh no, I think it's like, okay, they're both the same to me. So like, but you can always keep physically avoiding your fate, your destiny. You can keep denying it. Like if, let's say you're meant to face this obstacle, and then you're like, no, I don't want to face it. I don't want to face it. And no matter where you turn, no matter how much you avoid it, 10 years down the road, it will still come back because that is your destiny. That is your fate to deal with it. So people think of fate as more of like I find money on the floor. This is my fate. Oh, I got this lucky thing that happened. But the bad thing can also happen to you, right? Like say, like when we think about like all the bad things that have happened. Let's not call it bad things. The challenges that have happened in our lives. We look back on it, it's cannot avoid one. How to avoid it? It was meant for us already, you know. Yeah. So then, have to deal with it all. Have to face it already all.
Yeah.
And then look back on it. We become stronger. We become more in tune with ourselves. You know, because through that suffering, through that turmoil, we lose ourselves, but to find ourselves, right?
So, if you are really interested in this type of conversation or this kind of thoughts, we cover a lot of that in that course also.
Yeah,
so,
I'm feeling I really want to take it.
Yeah, because it's all about like life purpose, soul purpose, life lessons, that kind of stuff. So, I guess I'm able to detach myself more from like challenges that happen to me a lot better now after having gone through that course.
Yeah. You're able to see, you have new eyes.
Yeah, because you have a new perspective, yeah. So you don't feel like things happen to you anymore. It's happening for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all for a purpose.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what we learn as well. You just imagine like, you should totally read this book. I recommended it to you and you didn't read it.
Yeah, mine.
Many Lives, Many Masters.
Yeah. I still have it. You sent it to me. I don't like to read audio. What do you call it? Like on my phone, but I need to.
I need to look for my physical copy. I think I have a physical copy
like here?
somewhere. I might have like many. It has passed on to many hands. Yeah. So it kind of talks about this in between lives, that state in between lives, where you're this, where you're in your soul state.
What does that mean?
Like,
what does it mean to be in a soul state? What is a soul state?
So, that book, it's a real life. It's written by a psychologist lah.
Brian Weiser.
Yeah. So, it's about his encounter with his patient who, like, through his treatments, she kind of entered a trance state, a hypnotherapy state. And then she started to reflect on, like, past lives. And there was also a stage where they were in between lifetimes. So before you are born, after you die, before you are born.
The limbo lah.
Yeah. So it's like your higher state. Yeah. But as a more wise state where you know of everything that have happened in all your lifetimes and you're kind of like setting up for your next life also. Like you're deciding like your soulmates, the people that you're going to meet, the lessons that you are going to go through in this next life. Like even if you don't believe it, but what if you considered that we all chose the challenges that we enter this life?
Right.
Like what if it's decided by you actually?
Yeah.
Not by some other people that's trying to be unfair to you. So it kind of brings you into a different perspective and you kind of walk with a bit more purpose and you tend to look at your situations with a bit more purpose as well. Like you look at it a bit more objectively. You can be emotional, yes, but
it's still
you will know like why am I going through this? It's because of whatever. So yeah, so after going through this course I also realized like there were some like childhood memories that pop up as well. Then it brings me back, it connects me to my current day issues. Like, oh, maybe this is why I feel this way now when a similar pattern or similar situation happen, I react this way.
Yeah.
Because maybe when I was a child, something similar happened and there were certain reactions by the people around me that caused me to feel that way. So like maybe you have an unexplainable fear or something. And yeah. So it kind of puts you in a different perspective. Or like it's really about self-awareness, self-development, and it's all very interesting for me. And yeah, I guess this whole thing started with yoga, right? Because it kind of planted that seed of mindfulness, like to slow down and to like be in that moment. If there was no yoga, then maybe I wouldn't be able to like discover all of this now. I would still be in my like cycle of going through whatever. I was actually, my friend did comment that after I started yoga, like my personality kind of changed, you know. I'm a Scorpio.
Ooh.
I was very
Cannot
Scorpio.
tell.
I was
Yeah.
very Scorpio before everything, before yoga, before 2012. I was very Scorpio. I was very short-tempered also. Yeah, so yeah, it's a big change. My friend noticed it right away at that point in time. Like, hey, your temperament changed.
I can't imagine you being
Yeah.
like snappy or...
Yeah. I mean, I still have my moments. Yeah,
I'm sure.
it's very
I mean, that's still
interesting.
you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
According to the stars, that's like the trait that you have.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at the website. Desiree
Do close.
Living my highest purpose, guiding you to uncover yours. Ooh. Online school, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'll check it out. Are you close with her? Just like your text.
Yeah,
and
we're
stuff?
still in contact.
Yeah, let her know. I guess when this is out, then you can share it to her. And see if she's interested to have a chat with me. Yeah. Let's talk about Little Teddy Studios, which is a illustration side hustle thing that you've created during COVID, which is unexpected, and I sort of saw it develop into something that is a little bit more, you know, it's like more tangible now. So it started. So it's a little drawing project thing that you started when COVID happened, and then everything was shut down. There was nothing to do.
Yeah.
I guess it started as a way for you to just keep yourself entertained and to channel your creative outlet.
I guess so. Yeah, I got an iPad, but I got an iPad before COVID happened, and I was just like randomly drawing stuff in the studio. And then Nico, our front desk, Nico was
Nico.
always looking. We were always on the same shift last time.
Shout out to Bitten, best cupcakes.
Yeah, so she's like, "Hey, anniversary coming up. Can I commission you to draw?"
Oh, so that was I've seen that picture. That was your first thing, man. Wow.
Yeah, that was my first ever commission. So she was, "Can you draw like me and my boyfriend and then Evie and the things that we like?" I'm like, okay, somebody wants to pay me for my drawing. Yeah, so I took it on very excitedly. Yeah. So I did my draft and then I sent to her, and then I guess Mayan saw it, and then Mayan was like, "I also want."
Yeah, then I saw it. I also want like, and you drew the
your podcast one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started out with a lot of portrait drawings, and then COVID happened, and then I did more portrait drawings, and I guess somewhere along the way, I draw this little girl whom now Mian calls Hikari-chan. she named it lah. She named her Hikari-chan because she said that the drawings of Hikari-chan always there's a lot of light in those drawings, like physical sun rays kind of light, and also like it there's kind of a healing vibe to it. So that's why
presence of that little girl, you know.
And the what I draw her in, like they are kind of like pictorial versions of what I want to say. Like her floating in the middle of the water.
True. Something that I feel like what separates your drawings from, I mean, like, because I know you and I know that this is drawn by you, that I can see that this is you somehow. Like this is your thing, you know. It's not so much just a pretty picture of you know, people or whatever. It's also part of you in there, which is a good signature of an artist, you know, to be able to, that's done by Angeline, you know.
Wow. Like a style.
Yeah, like a style.
I don't know how it developed that way, but yeah. I'm kind of glad it did, because it's like an outlet.
Yeah,
like not just I'm good with words if I have the chance to write them down, like in text form. I'm not as eloquent like verbally. So pictorial form was just something that was really developed like last year during COVID, because I guess I just had a lot of time to practice it. And yeah, I'm kind of happy when people say that they can like they can recognize the thoughts that go behind that drawing, like the vibe that it's trying to convey. So yeah, it's just something that's very happy for me.
And from that little side project that became another opportunity.
Yeah, so Nicole said to me one day, like, you should just like give it a brand name, like a brand name. You don't just like draw stuff.
Yeah.
Like Angeline draw stuff.
Yeah.
You should just give it a brand name so that there's more ownership, and then you feel like it's something that belongs to you.
Right.
And yeah, she's right. I did feel that way after I named it. It's named after my son, Little Teddy Studio. Yeah. Cause I'm not a very maternal instinct kind of person. Like I'm not the kind of person that used to like look at small kids and like, oh, I want to play with you. Like my sister had kids before me, and then I'm not the kind of aunt who will like, yeah, let me let auntie carry you and play with you, that kind of aunt. So when I had my own kid, when I was pregnant, I even asked people around me like, hey, what if this magic doesn't happen? People always say like when your kid is born, you will like instinctively love it to bits, and like what if it doesn't happen? Or like what if I don't find my kid cute?
Yeah. I mean, it's a legit like, what if I just don't like, you know?
Yeah, like what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't
what if
kick in?
Pop it out and like, oh shit, meow meow. Oh, the thing.
No, it just fell. Yeah, what if it doesn't happen? So there's still a lot of those doubts when, like, after Teddy is born, there's a lot of struggles as with any person with newborn.
Right.
So there's always a learning curve. At some points, I don't know if it's taboo to say, but at some point, sometimes I still feel like, this is so difficult. Like, why did I choose to become a mother? Like.
I mean, it is difficult.
Like, I always ponder, like, what if I don't have a kid? Like, what would my life be like? And then, at some point, it occurred to me that actually, after he's born, and despite me feeling that he kind of delayed my teaching journey, because I didn't want to have a kid, I want to teach and stuff like that. Despite all of that, he was actually like the point, he was the reason why I made a decision eventually. Cause even like bad colleagues aside or bad ex-colleagues aside, there wasn't a very big strong push to go out from the company and go do yoga. But when he was born, I kind of felt like, I kind of started thinking like, what kind of life do I want him to live? And like, I just wish that he has the courage to pursue the things that he likes. Then when I was thinking and reflecting on all of that, then I just come to realize, how can I teach him to do that if I don't do it myself? So he's kind of like that courage that kind of pushed me towards what I want to really do with my life. Like, even though it's very scary, like being different from others in my dance circle, it's scary. Like, going into TT as well, like, you meet people who openly give you hugs.
Yeah.
I never experienced that, okay? In office, no one hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere else, no one gives hugs so freely like in this yoga or in this energy world. I don't know, like, yeah, like the people that I've met since then, like, they're also open. And it made me realize this is what it should be like. Like, you don't need to be guarded. Like, you don't need to think about what everyone says and try to see if they have some ulterior motive or agenda. And it made me realize that what I was going through is not normal. Like, I have some issue that I need to address, like at the old workplace or what. Like, yeah. So it's kind of like my prompt to move to take an action.
To take action, yeah.
Yeah, to take action. So, yeah.
And here you are today, living your best life.
Yeah, I do feel that way. Like, everything's been going very smoothly, and yeah. If you ask me 1 year ago, would it become like that? I don't think so, leh.
That's true.
Or even
you wouldn't.
Or even when my husband was sick, would things pan out this way?
Yeah.
I also wouldn't think so.
You, at that moment, I mean, like, you would have never guessed. Is my husband gonna be okay? Is my job gonna be okay?
Yeah.
What's COVID gonna do? Is why I'm gonna shut down? You know, what's all these things are gonna be running through your mind? What? Are we all gonna die? Right? Because it was gonna be a full blown like zombie apocalypse. Things are getting better now. Things are just adjusting. People adapt, and then through that, you know, bad thing that happened, also some good came. Yeah. Yeah, I think the older I get and the more I experience also, I start to really look at all the bad things that happen and think back on what lessons it's trying to teach me and whether I'm open enough to learn from that lesson. And then there are a lot of times where I just keep refusing to learn the lesson. I don't want, like, this bad thing happened to me. Well, you know, I hate that. You know, oh, it's his fault, it's that person's fault, it's something else, it's external. I deny it, I keep denying it, I don't want to face it. And then and it's your destiny, it's your karma, it keeps coming back, you keep pushing it away, it keeps coming back, and things start to find it, to synchronize, it starts to repeat, right? And you see it, why is this always happening? Why does this specific thing, a specific theme keep happening? It's because you're not learning the lesson. And then, you know, with more yoga comes more awareness, more reflection, more like your true self showing up a little bit more on the mat every day. And then you start to like you start to see the truth in the world, in your life. And then it's up to you. So can you let go of that false identity to find your true self?
Yeah.
Can you be reborn? Can you die and can you be reborn again into the new you, the true you, through suffering?
Like, one of the things that my YTT teacher mentioned stuck quite a bit for me during that time, because it was about Satya. Yeah, we learn about all the philosophy and stuff, but this one was the one that stood out to me the most at that time when I was taking my TT. And yeah, it kind of made me reflect on the things that were going on in the office. Because Satya, he mentioned, it's not just, Satya means like honesty, but not just like through the words you say, but also through the things that you don't say or don't do. Like it's not just on that scale that we know honesty of, like, I don't lie to you, but are you hiding anything, or are you leading people on to think a certain way that is not the truth?
Right.
So yeah, I kind of forgot why I brought this up. Maybe it's just to become your truest self.
I mean, sometimes that could be applied to yourself. So like, you're lying to yourself about who you are. You know. Yeah. Then you deny your truth, which is again a denial of Satya. Which is, you know, is not what, as yogis, you gotta Slowly learning, slowly uncovering, peeling back the layers and observing and having to deal with it one by one. It's been 1 hour 40 minutes. Have any final words? You want to wrap it up? Someone's having fun at the playground downstairs. How can people reach you?
I'm on Instagram. If you want to look at the more yoga-centric things, it will be Angeline XHL. If you want to look at my art, it's Lil Teddy Studio, Lil Teddy Studio. Yeah.
Do you have a website for the...
Yeah, it's the same. So www.lilteddystudio.
Okay. And if people want to seek you out for yoga, it's at YM. If they want to learn more about intuition reading, they can come to you as well, maybe.
Yes.
Well, thanks for chatting with me. Thanks for inviting me into your home. I'm looking at all the pictures of your family. It's such a nice space to be here. The meow meows are in the other room. They're too shy.
Yeah.
All right. That's it.
Thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you for this. 1L. So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening, as always. Hearing her story now and looking back to where she was, to seeing where she was at that time to where she is now, I just feel very proud. I feel very like, I've seen her grown because we both did the mocks together at the start when we both started out teaching, and she's grown to such a strong and influential teacher now, and I really like her classes. I know a lot of people who enjoy her classes as well. They will tell me about it, and so yeah, Angeline, I'm glad that you came on and people got to hear a little bit more about your story. And if you like if you like her work, do check it out. Little Teddy Studios, named after her son. The link's again in the description below. You can follow her on Instagram and all that. She also happens to have done a podcast practice back during lockdown. So I'll link that in the description below as well. You can just go check it out. It's free. Listen to it. You can practice it on your own. You can donate to her. The link to her PayPal is in that, that episode. And if you want to donate to mine, again, my link will be coffee.com/mostlyyoga. If you like what you hear, as always, share this with your friends, repost it on IG, tag me, I'll repost it as well. You can support the channel, and let me know if you have any questions, or feel free to chat. If you see me at this video, say hi, I'll say hi back. And that's it. I think we're good. Snappy. Okay, more episodes coming soon as always. My knee's getting better. I'm able to walk a little bit more. I'm back to teaching. It's just a little bit stiff, so I'm gonna need to work on my flexibility, my bending, my flexion. But maybe in a couple of months, maybe hoping 1 more month, I'll be able to get back onto the mat. Some personal updates for you there. Okay, that's all. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Have a good week. Okay, bye.